therefore, there are many Purushas and only one Prakriti. But in the Gita, which is a Vedantic work, okay, Advaita work, the multiplicity is an appearance only. The divine is one, but the souls are many. It's exactly like the ocean, which is one. The ocean is one, but there are many waves. The waves are not really separate from the sea. So the Vedanta and also the Gita say that the sea is the main thing. The wave is being born and it disappears. It comes into the world and disappears. Whereas the Sankhya philosophy is paying attention to the waves, and the Gita is paying attention to the sea. That's the whole difference. Okay. Now the other difference, also the difficulty that he is going to tell you. Difficulty means the difference between Sankhya and Gita. Okay. So shall we start reading, because there are still 2 minutes and
No, everybody has joined, no, Rangada?
no, yeah, our Sunki from
Archanadi is.
Archanati also has not joined, and
Chunki
also
is there.
I joined Rangada.
yes, you are there. Okay, in that case we can start. Yeah, you're right. Because 5 of you are already there. So let's start. Okay, we have read it, but we have to
No.
read it, or we have to read it. Oh, we have not yet read it. Fine, fine.
We have to read it.
So one of you has to read it. So who will read? Yasmin can read. Pallavi can read. She's from. Does she have the text?
Yes, I have the text, Rangada.
Oh, very good. Then you read today, because from Singapore to Pondicherry. Okay, you read, Pallavi.
There is another difficulty quite as formidable.
Yeah.
Liberation is the object set before itself by this philosophy as by others. This liberation is effected, we have said, by the Purusha's withdrawal of his consent from the activities of Prakriti, which he conducts only for his pleasure. But in sum, this is only a way of speaking. The Purusha is passive, and the act of giving or withdrawing consent cannot really belong to it, but must be a movement in Prakriti itself. If we consider, we shall see that it is, so far as it is an operation, a movement of reversal or recoil in the principle of buddhi, the discriminative will. Buddhi has been lending itself to the perceptions of the mind sense. It has been busy discriminating and coordinating the operations of the cosmic energy, and by the aid of the ego sense, identifying the witness with her works of thought, sense, and action. It arrives by the process of discriminating things at the acid and dissolvent realization that this identity is a delusion. It discriminates finally the Purusha from Prakriti and perceives that all is mere disturbance of the equilibrium of the gunas. The buddhi, at once intelligence and will, recoils from the falsehood which it has been supporting, and the Purusha, ceasing to be bound, no longer associates himself with the interests of the mind in the cosmic play. The ultimate results will be that Prakriti will lose her power to reflect herself in the Purusha. For the effect of the ego sense is destroyed, and the intelligent will, becoming indifferent, ceases to be the means of her sanction. Necessarily, then, her gunas must fall into a state of equilibrium. The cosmic play must cease, the Purusha return to his immobile repose. But if there were only the one Purusha and this recoil of the discriminating principle from its delusions took place, all cosmos would cease. As it is, we see that nothing of the kind happens. A few beings among innumerable millions attain to liberation or move towards it. The rest are in no way affected, nor is cosmic nature in a play with them one with inconvenience by this summary rejection, which should be the end of all her processes. Only by the theory of many independent Purushas can this fact be explained. The only at all logical explanation from the point of view of Vedantic monism is that of the Mayavad. But there the whole thing becomes a dream. Both bondage and liberation are circumstances of the unreality, the empirical blunderings of Maya. In reality, there is none freed, none bound. The more realistic Sankhya view of things does not admit this phantasmagoric idea of existence and therefore cannot adopt this solution. Here too we see that the multiplicity of souls is an inevitable conclusion from the data of the Sankhya analysis of existence.
Yeah. So he is establishing in Sankhya, the multiplicity of souls is a fact. As I told you, the Sankhya philosophy is insisting that the waves are the main thing. And the wave, when it realizes that it is part of the sea, dies down and goes back into the sea. This image you can understand that the human being, when it realizes that it is part of the infinite divine consciousness, it goes back into where it came from. It's very similar to the wave coming into existence from the sea and going back into the sea. The only thing is, in the wave, it is mechanical, whereas you have to think of it as a conscious decision of the soul, individual soul. This is what he is explaining. But the problem is that the Gita is a Vedantic work and it does not accept fully the Sankhya because it goes to a higher level. It says, okay, it is true that the waves are there, but the sea is more important. If the sea is not there, from where can the waves come? So why are you stressing so much on the waves? It's the sea that we have to see. So there is only one self. The other selves are only appearances. They are like waves which are born and which go back to where they came from. This is the difference. Okay. So he is stressing the difference because the Gita is using Sankhya and yet does not agree with it. That's the difficulty he is discussing here. And also the yoga, that also we will see. But there is one very interesting thing which is there, and that we shall see. So I'll read each sentence and we'll see. Okay. There is another difficulty quite as formidable. Liberation is the object set before itself by this philosophy as by others. So in India, the whole, whichever school of yoga you were interested in, it would be the liberation. Even in the Gita, liberation is essential. That's the first step in any yoga. Okay, liberation is the first step. Second step, third step, you can diverge and go here and there. Okay, you can take road A, you can take road B, you can take road C. But the liberation is common to everybody. That's what he's saying. Okay, this philosophy as by others. This philosophy, Sankhya. Okay. This liberation is effected, we have said, by the Purusha's withdrawal of his consent from the activities of Prakriti. This is the Gita. Okay? The Gita is saying that the Purusha, once he realizes, he goes to the spiritual plane and realizes the self, he realizes that all that he was doing with the body-mind life, it was for experience sake. And when you want experience, you actually allow experience to take place. Freedom. Okay. In fact, in our system also, your mistakes are allowed because only mistakes will give you experience. Okay. So one should not be afraid of mistakes. So Purusha realizes that it has given its consent. The soul realizes it has allowed the body-mind life to do whatever it is doing, including all the so-called vices. Okay, so even jealousy, even anger, even enmity, all these things, cruelty, are allowed passively by the soul to get experience of what is what. Okay, in fact, they say in warfare, they say that you can't conquer the enemy unless you know the enemy. So this Purusha agreeing to Prakriti to do whatever it wants is knowing the field. Exactly in the same way, unless you know the field, how will you conquer it? So it allows everything to happen, and then you realize, oh, this is this, oh, that is that. Then you decide what you want to do. And the Gita says the Purusha withdraws his consent. Okay? This is the Purusha withdraws his consent. And then he stops. This is he stops the permission given to the body mind life to do whatever it wants. In practical terms, it means that you decide that you don't want to get angry, for instance. Earlier, you were justifying your own anger, you are allowing it, but now you realize that you are pure consciousness, you are not the body mind life. You realize that this is actually harming you, and you decide to put an end to your anger. So you withdraw the permission. And what happens? Slowly, because the energy is supplied to the past energy is supplied to the body mind life to get angry, goes on lasting for some time. It's like a battery which has been charged. Slowly the battery is discharging its power, and when the battery goes dead, the power also goes dead. So the battery is the energy given in the past to you. So that goes on for some time, and at the end of it, anger disappears. So even from the spiritual point of view, from the spiritual levels, a certain amount of power is there to change your nature. Not full, but you can. Okay? So this is what Shen is saying. Now the difficulty. The difficulty is in the Sankhya philosophy, Purusha, and even in the Vedanta also, this is the difficulty. What is the difficulty? The Purusha is static. It neither judges nor does anything. It is the non-doer. So it can't even take a decision. So this is the concept. Okay? If that is so, what is meant by the Purusha withdrawing his consent? He can't do that. He is only a witness. Okay? This is the difficulty he is discussing. So what is the truth? The truth is that your mind decides. Okay? Your mind, the mental Purusha, decides that it wants to stop all these things in the body-mind life. So now the interesting part, you have to make your mind a little flexible. So have we not discussed that there is a mental Purusha? So the mental Purusha is the one that discovers this, and when it says, I don't want to give permission to it, the mental Purusha becomes the self. It's the same thing. Remember, we have been stressing this again and again. We have been saying that the supreme self, the overmind self, the intuitive self, higher mind self, element mind self, the mental self, all these things are only different stages of the self. So the mental Purusha at our level, which is the mind, slowly understands that it doesn't want that. It transforms itself into the adult self. Okay? Yesterday or wherever, that you are a child in the beginning, then you become an adolescent, and then you become an adult, and finally you become an old man. The same thing at different stages. So there is no difficulty in understanding that your mind takes the decision, not the self. The universal self is static, but your mental Purusha takes the decision and grows and becomes the universal self. This is what self is. This is how it is explained. Okay? So now I read. With this explanation you will read, you will understand what is saying. This liberation of what? The soul, the consciousness of the soul from the imprisonment of body-mind life. Okay? The body-mind life is a house in which you have been house arrest. You are under house arrest and you have to get rid of it. This liberation is effected, as we have said, by the Purusha's withdrawal of his consent from the activities of Prakriti. Prakriti is your body-mind life individually, and universally Prakriti is matter, the principle of mind, and the principle of the principle of life, and the principle of mind. These three planes. Okay. So But the difficulty, the Purusha is passive, it does not act, and the act of giving or withdrawing consent cannot really belong to it, but must be a movement in Prakriti itself. So, what is that part in Prakriti which decides to do? Your mind. Okay. So, if we consider, we shall see that it is, so far as it's in operation, a movement of reversal or recoil in the principle of buddhi. The buddhi, the discriminative will. Okay. So, the buddhi, the word buddhi is very, very plastic in our Indian philosophy. It can mean normal intelligence, it can also mean your higher mind, it can also mean the highest mind. It depends on the context. So, if you are, so the if we consider, we shall see that it is as far as its operation. As far as the operation, that means in the physical world, there is no operation in the self. Remember that. So, while you are in the body mind life, you are imprisoned, there is an operation. Your mind is moving and it decides to reverse or recoil from the principle of buddhi, the discriminating will. Buddhi has been lending. Sorry. Buddhi has been lending itself to the perceptions of the sense mind. Note the language, very interesting. The buddhi, normally we would have said it is identified with the body mind life. The same way is saying part of the buddhi is static, it is there. But part of it, it is lending itself. Very interesting word Shyamda has used. Okay, buddhi has been lending itself to the perceptions of the mind sense. The mind sense, the manas, the sense mind. Whatever it is saying, we are thinking it is real and you are identifying yourself with it. So the buddhi is saying, okay, I accept that what I am seeing in the physical world, what I am hearing, what I am tasting, what I am touching is all real. I agree. Okay. So you are identified with the body mind life. So buddhi has been lending itself to the perceptions of the sense mind. It has been busy discriminating and coordinating the operations of the cosmic energy, and by the aid of the ego sense, identifying the witness with her works of thought, sense, and action. Thought, the mind; sense, the vital; action, the body. It is completely with the mind, vital, and sense, it is identifying itself. So here is a witness which is not very clear yet in the ordinary human being. And the ordinary human being, when the soul, the individual soul, Jivatman, when it goes up, it identifies itself with the witness, and then there's a reversal. Okay, that's what Sandra is saying. It arrives by the process of discriminating things at the acid and dissolvent realization that this identity is an illusion. So he has used very interesting, the acid, okay, sulfuric acid, nitric acid. If you put even metal into it, it will melt. Okay, so dissolvent, it dissolves. What is dissolved? Your identification with body mind life is dissolved, it disappears. But also you can say another thing, the ego, which is the formation of nature, also gets dissolved. Okay, in other words, when the ego is removed, you become the witness self. Okay, and the witness self at that time is static. But if you go slightly higher, yeah, tell me.
Now, what did you say? You become the?
You become the witness self. You become the static witness. In the beginning, when you have the experience, you feel that you are separate from body mind life and you have nothing to do with it. You are just watching very calmly, quietly, even the wrong actions of the body mind life, and you are not affected by it. Okay? You will see if there is greed, there is anger, your consciousness is up there and you are watching your body mind life having greed and anger, okay, and tantrums. So Srenda uses the word that like a parent who knows that the tantrums of a child, okay, Suppose you take a toy away from a child, he starts crying and howling and all. But it's nothing serious, nothing serious at all. So the witness looks on its own body, mind, life's actions as though it is just tantrums. There's no importance to it. It is just something that a wave comes and disappears. It's just like you indulgently, smilingly look at your own body, mind, life. Okay? But the time comes when he says, okay, I am not affected by it, but why should that also be there? Then you become the Anumanta. The witness, Sakshi, becomes the Anumanta. Now we have come to the Gita. Okay? The, the Sankhya philosophy says Purusha is always separate. It is never interfering. It is always static. But in the Gita, you have the concept of the witness self who is non-acting becoming the Anumanta. He becomes the Anumanta. That means you, from an adult, from an adolescent state, the soul now becomes the adult state. It realizes that I want to get rid of all this anger and greed also. So it becomes the Anumanta, the permission giver. Okay? So this comes a little slightly higher than the witness self. And when that happens, what happens in the body, mind, life actually? When you withdraw your permission and say, I don't want this habit, okay, then slowly it disappears. I give the example of a scooter. When you are riding a scooter, the ashram is 100 meters away and I am coming from home, from Kurchikupam on my scooter, and the ashram is 100 meters away. To save petrol, I switch off the engine. Okay, but does the scooter stop? No. So the scooter goes on slowly until it ends up at the ashram. So when you switch off your permission for the anger, it continues with the past energy that you have given it, the past habit, and slowly it ends. Okay, so when you are the Anumanta, this can happen. You can remove your permission to the body, mind, life. Then what happens? Then you become the Jnata. You become the knower. This is the Gita. You become the knower of things. Oh, so this now I understand the principle of things, how it works. Then you become the Bhokta. You become the enjoyer. But without attachment, without desire, without ego. You become the Bhokta. You actually start enjoying everything. Those things which you did not enjoy earlier, now you start enjoying. Okay. I like to give the example of Karela, the taste which you don't like. Okay. There are so many things. A touch also is there, some which you like and you don't like. Then smell also is there which you like and you don't like. Taste also is there which you like and don't like. Okay. So all these things now make no difference. No difference to you at all. So you become the Bhokta. Then you go to a slightly higher level and then you realize that that difference, that complete divorce between Purusha and Prakriti, between the soul and the body, mind, life is really not so. You are the Bharta. You are the one supporting your own body, mind, life. If that support is not there, the body, mind, life can't last. So you become the Bharta. So these are all the stages in the Gita. It is not there anywhere else. Remember? Yeah, tell me.
How can we enjoy without, with detachment? That was the question.
The question is, you get rid of your ego. And when do you get rid of your ego? When you lose your identification with body, mind, life. And you must know, your mind must realize that I am pure consciousness. We go back to that Shankaracharya's Nirvana Ashtakam. Okay. Mano buddhi ahankara chittani naham. I am not mano, I am not buddhi, I am not the consciousness, I am not the chitta, the vital. I am not all these things. Then what am I? Shivoham, Shivoham. Okay. I am pure consciousness.
Okay. But that is the stage of this thing, no? What first stage, what we are saying, that it is just seeing. Is not that
when you are only seeing,
becoming.
When you are only seeing, you don't enjoy. You are just calm, peaceful. That's what happened to Surendra. If you read his letter to Dilip Bhai, you will see there no emotion at all for Surendra. It can be there in other cases, but in his case, there was absolutely no enjoyment at all. The enjoyment, the power, the uh, everything came later on. So when he became free, for him, it was only a pure witness consciousness, peace, sense of infinity, sense of freedom, okay? And a
But
calm. Yeah, tell me.
when we practically try all this
Uh,
to become just a seer or just a witness or things like that, all rasa of the life goes away. Like you feel that
what you
it's not there. It's so dry. It's so
Tarika, what you're saying is extremely interesting, okay? Because that's exactly what happens when you are identified with body, mind, life. That's what happens. But if you are not identified with your body, mind, life, it will not be dry. But in the beginning, yes, it does appear to be dry. That's what many of the children also protest. This is what is this samatha? I don't want only, I want to enjoy life. So if I go to a place where I don't enjoy and I don't suffer and I don't also enjoy, what's the use? But that's only the first stage. Okay. That is the first stage. It's like a glass of dirty water. If you want it to be pure, what do you have to do? You have to throw out the dirty water first. So there is emptiness. And then you fill it up with pure water. Then there is enjoyment. Right? Okay.
yeah.
That's a that's the explanation. So this is what this whole para is talking about. Okay, so so when the ego disappears, then you realize that you are the witness self, and the witness self can slowly grow. It can become the Anumanta, the permission giver, and then because in the beginning there is no question of permission, you are separate from. Like a parent, in the beginning he may feel, oh, let the child do whatever he wants. Then he realizes a little later that, "Arey, it's my own child. I can discipline him, I can tell him, and he will listen to me." So you become the Anumanta. Okay. So like
I
that.
was going to ask you the same thing, Rangada, just
Yeah.
now.
Uh,
Can both be at the same time there? Like when with children, we are talking about children. I'm just asking. Like in one way, you think that you should not interfere, you should not do, and you are really withdrawing. But at the same time, in the same moment, can you have both feelings? Like you are crying for physically, you are crying that it's not happening, but at the same time, you you are detached also. That no, I don't want to.
Tarika,
Is that?
you are asking a very, very practical question because you are dealing with children. So my answer to you would be this. You have to try to guide him, but with love. But if he doesn't obey, you must not be disturbed. That's the witness part. Okay. So you must certainly try. With a child, it is a different thing, but you have to certainly guide him. But you have to guide him not by scolding, but by taking him carefully and with very sweet words. You explain to him that what he's doing is wrong. No? He may listen, he
That's
may not listen. But if
young.
it uh,
That is the child till the child is young. But when the child isn't fully adult and still you feel that, what to do?
well, I'm using only an image, okay? And it is true that some children don't respond at all. That also is true. But you must not feel depressed, okay? Because sometimes after many years they may change. So I know I have heard of some children because of troubles at home. Usually it's like that. Those children who have parents who are constantly quarreling at home, the child develops very psychological traumatic symptoms. Okay, this is a well-known thing. Okay, and particularly when there is a divorce, the child is undergoes very traumatic uh, experiences, very traumatic. But not all children. It depends on how developed they are. Some take it in a very philosophic attitude. But this often happens. So there must be harmony at home, then the child feels very secure. So I know one case, I was being told about one case where the child doesn't respond at all. to your love and your affection. And I don't know who the child is, maybe Tarika knows, but the child even actually resents even touch. Okay, so that sort of thing can happen, but you must not lose hope. So it's very interesting. You must go on trying, go on trying, go on trying. Then the child will come through. It's a very practical application of the Gita.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, yeah, then you have to take that attitude. All life is yoga, so you can accept everything.
Yes, and one gets discouraged. Oh, this child is not responding. I let him do whatever he wants. I won't bother about him. That would be the wrong attitude. So that's why Mother said that to be a teacher, you have to be a yogi.
Yeah,
Yeah, she said that.
yeah,
To be a teacher is not easy. There was a case in the ashram long ago. I'm talking of the early 50s. There was one gentleman who actually hit somebody, a student. He was removed from the school. Okay. Hitting somebody is absolutely forbidden. You can't do that. But it's very common in the outside schools are here. They take a
yeah.
ruler, they take a ruler and hit you. And sometimes there are cases reported in the newspapers where the child even loses an eye. Okay? Or even there is death sometimes. One boy came 5 minutes late and the teacher said, go round and take 5 rounds of the playground. Okay? In outside school. And that boy was very weak, and when he ran those 5 rounds, he had a heart attack and he died. The parents had to make a case against him. So this sort of thing is not absolutely acceptable. Now you can understand the the freedom that is given in the ashram school. Tremendous amount of freedom is given. Many people say, "Oh, there is no discipline," but discipline is the opposite of freedom. You have to think about that. Yeah.
Freedom. Okay.
Yes, freedom. No? And but that discipline has to be the real discipline is when you impose it on yourself, not when it is imposed from outside. Even if it is imposed from outside, it must be done with compassion and understanding. If it is done in a very violent way and you insist egoistically on discipline, it doesn't normally work. Okay, we have come a very far away from our text. Let's get back to our text. So, the acid and dissolvent realization that this identity is a delusion. Okay, I am there. So I'm picking up from there again. So, which is what it gets dissolved, as I told you, the identification with the body mind life gets dissolved, or you can put it in a more gross way, your ego gets dissolved. So, you don't feel yourself to be a separate being. Okay, lodged in a human body, in time and space, in a very specific place, you are there. It's not no more like that. When your consciousness rises to the self, you feel yourself to be everywhere. It is not there, it's everywhere. That the identification with the body mind life disappears. So I use another image, it may help you. Okay, you are the body mind life. You are a grain of salt. It has got a weight, it's got specifications, it's got a taste, it's got a size, it's got a weight, and it's got a form. You put that into the water, into the ocean, what happens? It disappears. The ego disappears. But has the individuality disappears? No. The salt is there everywhere now. You taste any part of the water into which you have put, it is salty. So that's the witness self. It is there everywhere. It becomes universal. And you realize that yourself is the self of all, the cosmic consciousness. Okay? That's what happens. So that's what said this.
Rangana,
Yeah, tell me.
when we lose the identification with body, mind, and life, we
Yes.
lose the sense of ego also, no? At the same time, it's
Absolutely.
the same thing.
Yes, same thing. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Okay. So, acid and dissolvent. So, it discriminates finally the Purusha from Prakriti and perceive, that all is mere disturbance of the equilibrium of the gunas. The buddhi at once intelligence, the buddhi at once intelligence and will. Recoil, now note that, because at our level, the buddhi sometimes is intelligence, sometimes is will, but very often there is a difference also between will and buddhi. Okay, intelligence and will, not always together. Someone who is very very intelligent may not have a will. Someone who is very strong, vital will is there. He may not be a very intelligent person. But in the above, in the higher self, the buddhi, at a higher level, it can become both. Okay, recoils from the falsehood. Okay, you realize that this is not the right thing, which it has been supporting. So in the past, you have been supporting. Why? There is a good reason for that also. As I said, because you want to have experience, and you can't have the experience only of good things. Then you will never know the wrong things from which you have to escape. So you have to experience both light as well as darkness. If you live only in light, you will never know what darkness is, and you will never know what light is. It's only if you experience the darkness that you know, oh, this is light. If you are living in light without ever knowing darkness, you will not know that you are living in light. So you need the opposite. That's why the experience is allowed. That the soul allows the body mind life to do whatever it wants. It gets experience and understands things. Okay? Which has been supporting, and the Purusha, ceasing to be bound, no longer associates himself with the interest of the mind in the cosmic plane. So the result, what is the result? The ultimate result will be that Prakriti will lose her power to reflect herself in the Purusha. So this is what happens. Okay, the Prakriti has the power to put her actions, her thoughts and her emotions, and the soul is very willingly thinking that yes, I am having thoughts, I am having emotions, and I am doing the work. But when you withdraw your permission, then you realize that the Purusha, Prakriti is acting, universal nature is acting, and you are not the doer. This is one of the big experiences in the spiritual life. In spiritual life, the two main starting point experiences are exactly this. You realize that you are not the doer. You are not the body mind life. It is nature which is making your body mind life, which is a puppet, think, emote, and act. You are not doing it. You are only watching. That's the first experience. The other experience is the psychic being. Okay, these are the two main. Psychic being is horizontal. You go into yourself, and when you go above, vertically above, you go out of your body mind life. Then you become the self. So these are the two main things that happen. Okay, so supporting and process. Yeah, tell
Can you
me.
give an example how Prakriti is power to reflect herself? I didn't
Ah,
understand.
okay. Uh, the reflection is okay. So look, when you are identified with your body mind life, right? You are identified. Don't you think that I am thinking, I am willing, I am having emotions, and I am acting? Don't you think like that? Isn't
Yeah.
it? So you are identifying yourself with something that is not actually you are not doing. Okay? It is nature which is making the mind think. It is nature which is putting thoughts into your mind. It is nature which is putting emotions into your vital, and the actions, impulsions are coming from matter. Okay, actually, it's your brain that is telling you do this, do that. So you are subject to body, mind, life. Now, think of it as a reflection. It's slightly difficult to, the more you think about it, the more clarity will come. Okay, a reflection. You feel that the reflection in the mirror is the truth. But you realize later on that the reflection is only not the reality. You are quite different from the reflection. You are identifying yourself with the reflection. Or a better image is, okay, the cinema screen. Okay, the cinema screen, which is white, okay, and rectangular. But now think of the self as a screen, but it is not rectangular and it is not even white. Okay, it is featureless, and the body, mind, life's actions, thoughts, and emotions are being thrown on the screen. And the screen, which is conscious, thinking that all these things I am doing, I am having thoughts, I am identified with the images which are being thrown on me. Okay? It's difficult for us to think that the screen can be conscious, but in this case, the screen is conscious. The screen, which is featureless, okay, no color, no form, no shape, infinite. It is identifying itself with the images thrown on it. And what are the images? The thoughts, the emotions, and the actions. Body, mind, life. But when the body, mind, life, the images are switched off, the screen realizes that I am only the screen, which is vast and impersonal, and these were reflections on me. Okay? The more you think about it, I know it's a little difficult, but you think about it in that way, then it's. Tell me.
Difficult because you identify with the mirror, then actually seen in the mirror, no? Cannot be something else.
Your internet is not consistently. I can hear some words, I can't hear some other words. So.
No, I said the image of the mirror, reflection in the mirror.
Yes. Tell me.
Is actually whatever we are, that only we see, no?
But it is unreal.
Huh? It's not real, but at least it is what you are seeing. Like if you see someone else's face, not our own, then you know exactly when you are seeing yourself or you are seeing in the mirror, it's the same thing.
I have understood what you're saying, but now I'll give you another instance, then you will understand, okay? For the human being, it doesn't work. But take an animal, okay? Take a monkey or a cat, okay? He's looking at the mirror, his own image. But he thinks it is something else. He thinks it is real. You have seen videos where the cat and the monkey go behind the mirror to see who is there. So that is more apt. Okay. The human being has got an intelligence. So you are identifying yourself with that reflection. You think that is real. Now it's clearer?
Yeah, now it's clear.
Yes. If you go to the animal level, then the image, the metaphor of the screen becomes absolutely understandable. The cat goes behind and sees, there's nobody there. He comes again in front, again goes back, again goes. He is identifying the reflection with the reality. That is not. So,
actually, earlier when the TV was just new, at that time people used to think that there are people behind the screen, behind the TV who are doing this. I remember my mother-in-law telling me this, that they really thought that there was someone who was behind the TV and doing the things.
Okay, so that's it. All right. So I go to the next sentence.
Okay.
So what's the next? The ultimate result. The ultimate result will be that Prakriti will lose her power to reflect herself in the Purusha. The identification with body, mind, life ceases, and you realize that you are separate. Okay. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. You go back to the Shankaracharya Nirvana Ashtakam. Mano Buddhi Ahamkara Chittani Naham. I am not the body, I am not the. That's why in the Jnana Yoga, you go on saying to yourself, Neti Neti, na iti, na iti, na iti. I am not the body, I am not the vital, I am not the mind. Then what am I? I am pure consciousness. Chid Ananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. Okay. So that's what he's saying. The ultimate result will be that Prakriti will lose her power to reflect herself in the Purusha. This is a reverse way of saying. He's saying that Prakriti will lose her power and you become free from the clutches of Prakriti. That's the way it is there. That will be very easily understandable. Okay? For the effect of the ego sense is destroyed and the intelligent will becoming indifferent ceases to be the means of a sanction. Necessarily then, the gunas must fall into a state of equilibrium. The cosmic play must cease, the Purusha return to his immobile repose. The Purusha is returning to his immobile repose. The mental Purusha is identifying himself with body, mind, life, but the mental Purusha grows up and becomes the universal self. Okay? It's the same thing, but it identifies now with something else. I remember one person telling me that in the beginning they had great aspiration, but when they looked at their own defects, they thought that impossible. Yoga is impossible for me. How can it be? I've got so many. I get angry. I've got greed. I've got so many feelings. Okay? I'm attracted to the opposite sex. Impossible for me to do yoga. I will not do it. But after some time, when an experience came that if the psychic is there and you are really that and not this, then the whole thing changed. So this is what Srimad is saying. So what happens? The sea stops making waves. That's what he means by the gunas fall into a state of equilibrium. There are no more waves. The waves are there in the body, mind, life, but not in your consciousness. It becomes a equilibrium. Okay? Absolutely calm, no waves at all. The sea becomes calm and quiet. But if there were only the one Purusha and this recoil of the discriminating principle from his delusions took place, all cosmos would cease. This is the argument given by the Sankhya, that if there is, Vedanta is saying that there is only one self. But if one self is there and that one self is, if you are experiencing complete calmness, everybody else also will feel the same because they are one self only. So how does the Vedanta explain this? The Vedanta says that the multiplicity is a secondary reality. It's not the real reality. So Sankhya is absolutely valid at the lower level because if you are happy, I need not necessarily be happy. If you have experienced a self, I need not experience a self. So the multiplicity of selves is established in the Sankhya philosophy, but the Gita goes to the, as I told, it goes to the oneness of self. Then, as I'll repeat, the Sankhya is saying the waves are the main thing. Each wave is different. And the Gita is saying, no, the waves are secondary importance. The wave is, the sea is the main thing. Okay, that's the difference. That's what Srimad is pointing out. Therefore, the Sankhya philosophy is accepted by the Gita only in some ways, not in all ways. That's what Srimad is explaining. Okay, so a few beings among innumerable millions attain to liberation or move towards it. The rest are in no way affected, nor is cosmic nature in a play with them, one whit inconvenienced by the summary rejection, which will be the end of all her processes. So, if one man is getting free, it makes no difference to the universe. It goes on in its old way. Okay? This is something that strikes one very harshly when a very close relative passes away. And you feel that it is something so important for me. But damn it, the world doesn't care one bit. It is not affected at all. It is going on in its own way. I am so much affected, but my neighbor is going on enjoying and seeing the TV and enjoying himself and having fun. It shocks you. Okay? So this is what Srimad is saying. How interestingly he is putting it. Only the theory of many independent Purusha, and this fact can be explained. Nor is cosmic nature in her play with them one bit inconvenienced by this summary rejection, which should be the end of all our processes. It makes no difference to the physical world and the universe what you are experiencing. That's what he is. So this is the difference between the Sankhya and the Gita. I think the difference is clear, na? So, but there the whole thing becomes a dream. Where in which one? In the Mayavada philosophy or the Advaita. The whole thing becomes a dream. The explanation of the Vedanta is that the multiplicity of souls is a dream. It's not the reality. Okay? Both bondage and liberation are circumstances of the unreality, the empirical blunderings of Maya. Maya is fooling you. It is saying that there is a difference. There is no difference at all. See the sea, don't see the waves. That's what it is saying. In reality, there is none freed, none bound. There is only a pretension. The soul pretends to be bound. It is not permanently bound at all, like some philosophies say. Okay? It has a choice to get out of the world. The more realistic Sankhya view of things does not admit this phantasmagoric idea of existence and therefore cannot adopt this solution. The Mayavada solution is not acceptable to the Sankhya philosophy. Here too, we see that the multiplicity of souls is an inevitable conclusion from the data of the Sankhya analysis of existence. That completes the paragraph. So, and next time if you want, we'll just quickly summarize the paragraph. Okay. So we stop here today, and next time we have to start with the Gita starts from this analysis. Okay? Have a nice day.
Bonne journée, Rangada. Merci.
Okay.
Thank you, Rangana.
Au revoir.
Au revoir, everybody. Have a nice day.